Today we're going to discuss what makes a good and interesting composition. And if you would turn with me in your sketchbooks to page 25, we will begin. So you will note here in my sketchbook that I have drawn three very simple pictures of objects. And in doing so, I'm going to ask that you quickly pick if you think it is good and interesting. Picture one, if you would choose yes or no. Picture two, would you choose yes or no? And picture three, if you would take a moment to circle simply, is it good and interesting? Yes or no? And now I'm going to begin to teach you about a good and interesting composition. So first of all, in this first picture, hopefully you answered no. A couple reasons why is, number one, it is off balance. Everything is pushed over to one side and a whole lot of blank open space on the right side. This one here, hopefully your answer is no. Why? I would say because it's boring. It's uninteresting. You see all three shapes, nothing for your mind to imagine. And so I would say this one's on the boring scale. This one here, hopefully you answered that this one is yes, the most interesting. And why is it the most interesting? In your sketchbook, I would also like you to write what are three key components to making an interesting grouping of objects. First of all, odd number of objects. So all of these follow that rule because all of these pictures have three items, odd number. The other one would be objects are overlapping. And or touching. So you notice in this one, nothing is overlapping or touching, nothing is overlapping or touching. And over here, we do have some overlapping and touching, which makes your brain engage in that picture. The third basic rule is objects are different sizes and layout of objects, I'm just going to abbreviate here, layout of objects are horizontal, which means you have objects here that are horizontal, such as this one here, and then you have objects that are vertical. So together we're going to build a composition that is interesting, and we're going to do a grouping, and I'm going to call this the breakfast theme grouping. So what I did to make it easy is I put 6 shapes that we've covered so far. And what we're going to do is we're going to make objects that reflect the shape. Now, does every composition have to have something that's a square, something that's a rectangle, a cylinder? No, it does not. But for it to be interesting, probably things should go up and down, sideways, different sizes for it to be interesting. So I'm building a composition, and to get you ready for the next assignment, we're going to pick 5 items. So I'm going to go 5 items. And here are drawn 6 shapes. So as we do one of these, we will mark off what shape it is. So I am going to very quickly do a layout of a composition, and then I will show you it finalized with shading, value, and detail. But for the sake of time, let's build a quick composition. Say that I were going to do a breakfast theme, and I were going to put a breakfast box of cereal here. And thinking about breakfast, I'm going to fill my picture in. Let's see here. I think what I'll do is put an orange sort of shape. Now, if you notice, I quickly followed step 2 by overlapping. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck in, let's see here. I think I'll tuck in a banana. So in a banana, I'm going to tuck it right behind my orange. Now, because my banana is the bottom of my breakfast cereal box, I'm going to erase. And this is why you want to sketch lightly. So notice how I'm starting to show depth. My box is further back than my banana. My banana right now appears in the front. Let's see. I think what I will do now is a grouping of grapes. And I'm going to put the details, the stem, and I'll tuck a leaf in. So as you notice, my cereal box, I've done my rectangle. My orange, I've done my circle. My grapes, I've done my ovals. My banana can count as my cylinder. And what do I have left? I have a triangle and a square. I think what I will do is I will now do a glass of orange juice. And to make it count as my triangle, I'm going to do a mirrored glass. And you may look and go, is that glass, according to my other objects, is it of right size? So now what I've done is I've put together a composition. So let's check the rules. Odd numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. That works. Items are overlapping and or touching. I have items overlapping and touching. Items are of different sizes. The layout of the objects are horizontal and vertical. So I have my picture going fairly horizontal, and I've got a cereal box going vertical. So I would say that I have captured all three of the very basic simple rules. But what's left to do now is to add details. So you will notice here, I'm just going to switch out to something that I have drawn previously. And here sits that same composition. So when I talk about details, that always makes a composition interesting. And you will notice that details are the water in the glass, the water lines are erased, the shading of the contrast in between grapes, the light on the grapes, the shading in the box. Notice that the box, the light is furthest away from this side. Notice the eraser marks also in the banana to help indicate the peel, the details in the orange, the texture in the orange by dotting the orange. So I would say this composition follows the rules of being interesting. And now we will move on to the rules of our upcoming assignment, keeping in mind that a interesting and good composition is what you're after.